we started trying to write together. As both actresses, we trained with like National Youth Theatre when we were younger, so we were used to sort of devising that kind of thing. So we tried to write together, and we tried to write a few different things first. And then someone said to us, oh, you know, if you're going to write, you should always start by writing something that you know. And this is based on a true story of our godmother, Vicky, and her life. And when we found out about this story, we just thought it was so interesting, and we just couldn't believe that she'd been through all of this, and thought it was like we could use our platform to tell such an important story that actually needs to be heard on the stage. Yeah,
tell us a little bit more about Vicky then, as a real person, and her story, and then how you kind of brought it to the stage.
So Vicky was born and bred Elephant and Castle, lived on a council estate with her family there, and from early on she knew she was born in the wrong body. And then aged around 16, she asked people to start calling her Vicky, and really did everything she could to save up for her top surgery. And so ended up doing drag in Soho, this Golden Girl club, which is heavily featured in our play. We do a lot around that. She has a lot of jobs.
Yeah, anything to try and get the money together to reach the end goal.
Yeah. And
now she's lived her whole life as Vicky. So transitioning in the 80s is, we found through our research, actually was very different. And she said once she'd transitioned, she was no longer a trans woman and a woman.
Yeah.
So she's lived her whole life as Vicky. And so she's happy to tell us the stories, and she's really excited for the play, but it's about finding out those stories when it's not something that she tells to everyone openly all the time.
It's a private story for her,
Yeah.
but obviously happy for it now to be part of this piece. Who do we meet along the journey then? Some of the other characters, and who do you guys play?
Okay, so we meet Sylvie, which is Vicky's mum, which is played by Wendi Peters.
Yeah.
She's a right character. Very working class, doesn't stop smoking, loves a pie and mash. She's great. I think she's a real stable figure. Then we have Fat Pearl, who runs the Golden Girl, which again, he's a real character. I play our mum in it, Debbie, which is Vicky's best friend, and Stacey plays Gabby, which is one of Vicky's other friends who she's met along the way in Golden Girl. And then obviously that's Matt playing Vicky, which is fantastic. Oh, and then Sid, Vicky's partner.
There's also, you know, in a way, a tribute to the drag community here, and the vital importance that community had to coincide with the trans community at the time. Is it fair to say without the drag community it would have been very difficult for Vicky to get where she is?
Yeah, she saw that as a family, so she went in there, and it's almost like everyone had their own story to tell. I mean, obviously that is in life as well, but in that club she felt like she fitted in because no one fitted in elsewhere, and they all come to that club, and it was like a safe haven for her and for everyone there. And they were a real rock and a strength for her, I think.
Yeah, and that really comes through in the play.
Yeah, I imagine as well as, you know, the issues of discrimination and the struggles, there'll also be big, bold characters in there which will bring comedy to this. Yeah.
Definitely. There's a lot of lows, but there are just as many highs, and you know, there's a real fun. I mean, it's set in the club, so obviously we do like dip into Elephant and Castle, but I mean, once you walk in, that is the club. And yeah, there's some real characters, Fat Pearl being one of them, where
a lot of the comedy comes through her as well, because she is interacting with the audience, and it's like part of her drag act. But having said that, actually, Sylvie is a really funny character as well. And she's always like the quips that she comes out with. So there's a lot of quips which make it funny.
Yeah, I think a lot of people will be able to relate to Sylvie. They've either got a nan or a mum or an aunt.
Yeah.
Do you know, she's one of those characters that you just love. Like, she's infectious. So
the powerful woman within the family who's really in charge, definitely. Obviously, you've had this kind of resource with Vicky to be able to find out what life was like in the 80s, certainly for the trans community. How difficult was it? Was it almost impossible?
It seems that way, and it seems Vicky, the story is unbelievable that she managed to do what she did in that time, because every every corner there was something else. She was always hit with barrier after barrier after barrier. And so I think that's why she wanted to get rid of that past in the end, because she just wanted to be like, finally, I'm there. And it's less talked about so much. No one really spoke about it. Whereas now, obviously, there's a much more of a conversation
100%.
to be had.